Hey guys, this is Carl and Cindy.
Yep.
Cindy and
Yep.
Carl. And today we're going to talk about communication. Within our job, we do a lot of communicating, not just with the person who we're working with, whether it be an older person or a kid, which is who you see a lot of. We also have to do it through documentation because Medicare and Medicaid insurances, they want to know what we've been doing and how to reimburse or why they should reimburse. So without that documentation or that communication on paper, honestly, they're going to just try to skip out on paying. So that's how they maintain their billions and billions of dollars, right?
Correct.
So the other day we were talking about communication and some of the pluses and some of the minuses
Right. So we talked about how we communicate.
with one another.
Yes.
Okay.
And occasionally miscommunicate.
Okay.
So that is a big focus of what we get up every day to try to work on and improve upon is how we communicate with one another.
That's right.
Because when we are on top of our game, it's flawless. But when we miscommunicate, which everybody does every once in a while, it's still flawless. But
Right. There's some bumps in the road, and then you got to say, "Whoa, what's happening here? What went awry, and how do we correct it?"
if we ever have any type of bump like that, it's because we just most likely didn't understand the other,
Right.
what we were trying to say, or what we didn't say so well.
Okay. Right. So another thing, when you communicate and when you're talking and when someone has an extremely important point to make, I think it's a bad habit, not just for myself and not just for you, but probably every single individual person watching this, is that they're going, okay, I hear your point and you're still talking, but I need to come up with something to respond with.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing so, they're missing out on just the simple fact of listening. I don't think you always have to have a response. And I don't think even if you do have a response, I don't think you have to have a response immediately. I don't feel like that's as important always than just listening to what's being said.
Well, that's where I have a problem. That's where you've pointed out my issue with communication is that I am always thinking about what I'm going to say next instead of really listening to you. And that is true.
You make me sound like a
You are.
like no, that's not true at all.
You are, but it's true. Like, cause if we're having a discussion, I am usually thinking about my rebuttal to what you're saying, as opposed to just listening to you, listening to listen, not listening to respond.
I think the big thing is that we're both extremely passionate, so there's a lot of feelings involved, no matter what we're dealing with or no matter what we're discussing.
But
so,
I do like to have a response right away, or for you to have a response right away. I'm not one to just kind of sit on it and let it, and then, which I should probably pause a little bit more and then, talk about it. But I like to have kind of clean cut, let's get this solved, So that's where we're learning how to communicate every single day, what works best for us and sometimes what doesn't work. I think if you can identify what's not working and stop doing that, your communication obviously is going to improve greatly.
Right.
Just by being aware of what doesn't work.
I totally agree.
And in another video that we did the other day, you pointed out how you've learned that if you're going to change the subject, it's usually better to give me a heads up.
Yes.
Remember that video?
Yeah, I remember that life lesson.
What video was that? But
That was like 17 videos ago because we've done like 1,500 or so now in the last several days. Really pumping out this content.
But you mentioned that in the other video. Like if I'm talking about something and you're changing the subject immediately, it makes me feel like you're not listening. And
Right.
that what I was saying wasn't important, so you were ready to move on. And so you've learned, I think that's one thing that we've learned doesn't work. It works better if you say, hey, I'm about to change the subject.
And that's just within between
us.
you and I.
Yeah.
Yes. So we found what actually works. It's just the same as like when you have a kid and you've just done an eval and maybe you're in that first week, you're doing whatever you can do to establish a rapport and some trust.
Yeah, I have to learn what makes them want to listen to me and respond accordingly.
And it's the same thing with us in the geriatric world. And even with the pediatric world, you're not just having to deal with that patient directly, but you're also having to deal with family members. So again, you're trying to establish some trust. I have this person's best interest at heart. I know this sounds off or sounds odd, or maybe what I'm doing you don't fully grasp, but you have to show some trust in me and my approach and what I'm doing, because the idea is outcome. Right? And even with communication, even just simple communication, hey, what's for dinner? Which I fucking hate that question. What's for dinner? What do you want? I don't know. What do you want?
You should
I don't know.
ask it a lot if you hate it so much.
I like to eat. What are you hungry for? I don't know. I'm not really craving anything. I'm just tired and I just need to get some food in my body. What are you hungry for? I don't know. And then literally it's like 3 hours have ticked away and then I have no energy because we haven't eaten, so I don't have the energy to discuss it anymore.
But what we've learned from that is we start asking that question in the morning. So then by the afternoon or late, we have decided.
Or not, most of the time. And then we just go, what's close and what can we grab? Or do you feel like cooking? No, I don't really feel like cooking. Or I feel like cooking. In what capacity do you feel like cooking? So all those things are communication, and communication is key. It's super important. And we're still figuring it out. So in regards to what we're doing here, it's going to be very important that we figure out a great way to communicate with you guys. And everybody is different. So hopefully we have tons of followers, and the way that we approach each follower, that sounds so like medieval. Follower. With you guys, it's going to be different, and the way we communicate when we do reviews on devices or approaches, it's going to be different. So before communication is successful, we have to establish trust, and without trust in regards to what we do, it's pointless. It's pointless. We shouldn't even be sitting here. You guys should be looking at like this thing and this wall and this shadow lighting. And we shouldn't even be here. So we have to have trust, and we really want you guys to trust us. And we can ask for your trust. It's pointless. We have to show you guys why you can trust us and why you should trust us.
I think some things that we talked about, that as far as communication goes, is you have to communicate with sincerity. You have to be genuine. Just be yourself. You talked about that in one of our very early videos.
Right.
Being yourself. I think if you are being yourself, then you definitely you garner a lot more trust that way, because people are like, that's just him, or her. I know him. That's just who they are. Like, you're not trying to be someone you're not, or come across as, anyway, something annoying. So being sincere and being, who yourself, and also communicating with some humor, as best as you can, because
I've said it before, like you study a lot through school, and when you fall into a certain field, there's so many aspects that you constantly have to be fluid on, because not every patient is the same. Here's patient 1 and patient 2, and everyone's got different goals. Everyone has different things they need to work on. Even that, they're all going to be different. Just because I have 2 hip patients, they're not going to be treated the same by me.
Well, and everybody comes from a different background, and that has a lot to do with how you interact with them and establish trust, because they could come from, just completely different backgrounds.
Right.
So you have to adjust your communication style and interaction style based on that a lot of
Absolutely. It's no more about who I am and who you are. We just have to use what our strengths are to communicate and establish trust with this individual.
Right. I agree.
So anyways, that's what we're going to do with you guys, and we're going to talk more about communication and why we are extremely valuable to what we're trying to do here, more in some upcoming videos. So please be sure to like, subscribe. What watch some more videos, get to know us more. I think the more you watch us, the more you get to know us, the more you'll probably trust us or hate us. And either of there, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next video. This is Carl and Cindy. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.